Ali. This is my disciple. So this proprietorship. So one should not be nirmama. Like we know, Radheshambhara quotes the example of one of the devotees from the Swaminarayan. There was so when there was a devotee, so he was the most important personality, Sadhu, who was the most important personality for making up this Delhi Akshardham temple. So Delhi Akshardham temple is like a masterpiece, very tremendous, huge project. I think very big project. Till now, we have not seen such projects like that. So it's huge, thousands of crore rupees projects. And the day when the temple opening was there, the person who for sacrificed everything for years together to make that temple, years together, and generally people will expect I made the temple, then I will become the president, I will become the leader, I will become the very chief person of this. And he was told, okay, now fine. So thank you very much for this temple. And now you can leave and start some other temple in some another small village. That's all. So and that person was very readily agreed to do that. So he said Prabhuji focuses on this principle of nirmama. Nirmama matlab. So example is given of cashier. Cashier in the bank. As the cashier in the bank counts millions of dollars without claiming proprietorship. Similarly, a devotee just does everything on behalf of Lord and he doesn't claim the proprietorship. Thank you, Ashish Pujupru, for very good point. To follow another's path is dangerous. Yeah. So better to do our own path faultily also, no problem. But we should not take another's path. Like Arjuna, here is suddenly wanting to take sannyas. And he's saying that I told you the story of Raja Bhartuhari. Raja Bhartuhari, I told you this story. I think that he took sannyas suddenly, prematurely. But yet after coming, he started to what we say discuss about his own glory. अरे मैं कितना पढ़ा लिखा हूँ, मैं कितना महान हूँ, मैं कितना विद्वान हूँ. Okay, Sanket was telling regulation in sense enjoyment also leads to trouble. Yeah. So there are accidents even on the royal roads. Even on the royal roads, there are accidents. So Prabhupada compares this. Somebody is doing sense gratification in a regulation. So, but this regulation and sense gratification is also a troublesome. Don't think that, and Prabhupada gives example of the marriage. In the married life, there's a concession given for some kind of sense gratification. But if somebody becomes regulated in those sense gratification and becomes attached to that sense gratification, so don't become attached to sense gratification and don't become attached to regulation also. So he said that also leads to a trouble. And Prabhupada gives example, even in the royal roads, there are accident. Just few days back, we were coming from Pune to Kolhapur, Pune to here. I was coming to Karnataka. On the way, first time we saw four accidents on the road, and all the body, some bodies, the head is cut up. It's a royal highway only. It's a good highway, but this is due to summer season. A lot of vehicles are getting toppled down and tire bursting and accidents. And at least 3 to 4 dead bodies we have seen while coming. Somebody's head is cut up. All bodies are made into two parts. Shock यार क्या हो गया. Only in 4 hours of journey, we could see 4 to 5 hours of journey, we could see 3 to 4 deaths at least visibly. So even on the royal roads, there are accidents. So regulation, yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Darshan Prabhu is writing, we can come to mode of goodness by following prescribed methods of living and acting. And we discussed huge about the importance of sadhana, that's working under direction of someone that they describe. So Prabhupada gives this as a solution for dealing with lust. He doesn't say too many big things. He said this lust, which is like an conditioning, there is a way to deal with it. And what is the way to deal with it? He says that prescribed method of living and acting. So what is the prescribed method of living? Living as per proper varnashrama and acting. So he said, this is, thank you, Prabhu. So Kaushik Prabhu is writing, psychophysical nature can be understood over a period of time. Force of lust is the proof that how much we love Krishna. Thank you. This is a very good point, Prabhu. Force of lust should inspire us that how badly we need Krishna consciousness. If my mind is too pre-haunted with the materialistic desires for sense gratification, that means I should understand this is how badly I need Krishna. Badly means this is or goodly I can say, not badly, but itna intensity होना चाहिए मेरा कृष्णा को प्राप्त करने का. The same that the same force lust actually is a love for Krishna, but somehow it has become lust. Okay, and prescribed method of living and acting takes one from the mode of passion to goodness and from mode of ignorance. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Ron Pro is writing, in the Kali Yuga, we are confused about our prescribed duties, but a spiritual master will let us know what our prescribed duty. And we also discussed one certain guideline. What is a certain guideline to discuss about our duty or psychophysical nature? What is a simple guideline? One is internally satisfied and externally competent. Internally satisfied and externally competent. So by this one can understand what he is good in. Hmm? Okay. Papam charati purusha anichan. We are forced to do sins if not desiring. Okay. Sahil Prabhu is writing. Sinful activities happens unwillingly due to lust. Lust is a source of misery life. If lust fulfills, greed comes, and if not, anger comes. Yeah, kama isha, krodha isha. So all are like two brothers follow. Lust has a younger brother. Lust has a younger brother, that is Kamanuja. Kamanuja. Or we say Ramanuja, वैसा Kamanuja. Kamanuja is anger. It also automatically follows. Lust is born in contact with mode of passion and latter turns into wrath. Okay. Yes, Kaushik Prabhu.
Guruji, I have a small question. Guruji, in the
Mm-hmm.
verse Prakriti Kriya Manani, which we have that day read, Guruji, whenever we say that, suppose somebody is saying that I have solved this question. So, Prabhuji, here means it's a little technical question. So, Prabhuji, here he is saying I have solved, but actually the soul has nothing to do. Soul is just desiring, and the modes by the modes of nature it is getting solved. So, this sentence is technically incorrect, but still, in our day-to-day life, we use such millions of sentences every day that I have done this, I have preached to them, I have brought these boys, I have trained. So, Prabhuji, we have to identify with temporary designations in this practical world. Uh, it is, so how to understand Roji this?
Actually, one thing
Otherwise,
is, it
yes.
is the statement that I got first rank in examination. This is not wrong statement, Prabhu. I ate prasadam today. This is not wrong statement. And by my I could shift 10 boys in Krishna for Utkarsh camp. Now somebody may say this is not a statement, wrong statement at all. If only, like you say, as a matter of part of internal consciousness, one should know I am not the only doer. This is the statement. It is not that you are not the doer. You are done. Actually, you are done. It is not that कि अरे हमने मैंने तो कुछ भी नहीं किया. नहीं, आप भी एक डूअर हो, लेकिन आपके अलावा और भी डूअर है. अगर कोई व्यक्ति पूरा का पूरा क्रेडिट अपने हाथ में लेता है तो प्रॉब्लम है. So that's why devotee says na, by Krishna's grace and by Vaishnava's prayer, actually I was successful in preaching and I could bring 10 boys to Utkarsh. Or by Krishna's inspiration and by devotee's grace, I could make this code. Now, every time you may not, if you in company you write, by Krishna's grace, I could complete this code. वो बोलेगा अरे क्या कृष्णा 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 बोलता है. समय हमारा कल्चर वैदिक कल्चर में इतना नहीं है कंपनी, तो बोलना पड़ेगा. भगवान की बोल सकते हो भी, भगवान की कृपा से हो गया है, भगवान की प्रेरणा से हो गया है, तो कोई गलत बात नहीं है इसमें. सब लोग मानते हैं भगवान को. सो एज वी दैट्स व्हाई वी से दिस ओनली. सो वो रादर देन इतना इतना डिटेल में डिस्कस करने का इच्छा नहीं है कि मोड्स की कृपा से, तीन मोड की कृपा से, मेरे कर्मों की कृपा से, मेरे इसके लिए नहीं. अल्टीमेट डोअर इज लॉर्ड ओनली. तो जनरली वी गिव क्रेडिट टू कृष्णा ओनली. बाय कृष्णा's grace, even like a food you digested today you could digest the food, and by Krishna's grace today I had a nice day. So like this we can recognize and appreciate.
Yes, Roji, and
Okay.
just one extension of this. Roji, also we says that suppose I am driving a bike and Roji,
Hmm.
if suppose the truck is coming, so I will desire that अरे truck अरे तो मैं इधर से लूंगा. And by the effect of modes, means modes of material nature will help me. So प्रभु जी इस केस में अगर कोई ऐसा बोले कि अरे मैं तो सिर्फ डिजायर कर रहा हूँ, कर तो सब मोड ही रहा है, और कोई अगर अपने एक्शन का ओनरशिप ही नहीं ले, तो प्रभु जी the action, we know that we are only desiring, but while performing the acting we cannot think that I will only desire, the modes will do. We have to take ownership that I have to do it. Right, प्रभु जी?
Hmm. Yes,
तो ये जो
perfect.
कॉन्शियसनेस है एक्टिविटी करने की कि मैं कर रहा हूँ ये मेरे को करना है, तो ये सही है ना?
Hmm.
या क्योंकि अगर अपन ऐसा सोचे मैं तो सिर्फ डिजायर कर रहा हूँ, मोड्स को करना है, तो अपन वो एक्टिविटी ना एब्जॉर्प्शन से कर पाएंगे ना अपन उसका
नहीं, मेरा एक
ओनरशिप लेंगे.
सिंपल बात है. ये
हम्म,
मोड्स मोड्स किसने लाए?
कृष्णा ने.
नहीं नहीं नहीं. मोड्स
मतलब
आप
उनके
आप जिस मोड में हो, ये किसके हाथ में है, कौन से मोड में रहना है किसके हाथ में है?
वो अपने हाथ में है।
हाँ, अपने हाथ में मोड्स भी। तो कभी कभी लोग उल्टा एक फिलोसफी बताते हैं, तू ही है तेरे जीवन का शिल्पकार। मतलब तुझे, तू ही है, तू तुझे जीवनाचा शिल्पकार, है ना? ऐसा लिखते हैं, क्यों? क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली हम, मीन्स इन स्पिरिचुअल सेंस, या हम ही हैं डूअर ब्रो। मतलब हमने ही भगवान को छोड़ा है। हमने अपने अपने आप का मोड का सिचुएशन क्रिएट किया है। एक हिसाब से सही बात है। लेकिन अगर कोई ऐसा बोलेगा दारू मैंने नहीं पिया, मैंने एक्सीडेंट नहीं किया, वो तो मेरे मोड्स ने करवाया, मैं तमोगुण में था, मेरे मोड्स ने करवाया, ठीक है। लेकिन मोड तुमने ही चूज किया है। ये तो ऐसी बात हो गई, वो क्या कहते हैं, क्रिकेट बैट ने शॉट मारा, किसी का कांच फोड़ा, और बाद में कांच फोड़ने के बाद बोला किसने किसने फोड़ा कांच, बॉल ने फोड़ा। तो बोलेगा ठीक है। बाद में बोलेगा किसने फोड़ा, वो बोलेगा कि बैट ने फोड़ा। किसने फोड़ा? पोटेंशियल एनर्जी जो काइनेटिक एनर्जी में कन्वर्ट हुई उसने फोड़ा, ठीक है। लेकिन बोलेगा किसके हाथ में था? तो सो दैट्स वाई इमीडिएट कॉज, रिमोट कॉज एंड अल्टीमेट कॉज। तो जब ब्लेम आएगा ना, तो वो रिमोट कॉज को ही आएगा, इमीडिएट कॉज को नहीं आएगा ब्लेम जनरली, कि इमीडिएट कॉज की वजह से इसको ऐसा हुआ करके, ऐसा नहीं आएगा, रिमोट कॉज को ही आएगा। और आप बोलोगे फिर प्रभु अल्टीमेट कॉज तक भी पहुंचना चाहिए। रिमोट कॉज तक, अल्टीमेट कॉज तो भगवान थे, भगवान की प्रेरणा से ही हुआ है। नहीं, वो रिमोट कॉज वाले ने इच्छा की, इसलिए अल्टीमेट कॉज वाले ने फुलफिल की है। सब कुछ आएगा रिमोट कॉज पे ही। और रिमोट कॉज है हम। क्योंकि सोल सोल डिजायरिंग एलिमेंट सबसे बड़ा एलिमेंट है वो। यस प्रो।
बिल्कुल।
हरे कृष्णा। यस रवि प्रो। आज कुछ लोग मिसिंग दिख रहे हैं क्या प्रो? अगर आपका कोई फ्रेंड मिसिंग दिख रहा है तो आप 5 मिनट में कॉल कर लीजिए, कोई अगर देख लीजिए एक बार। कुछ लोग कम मिसिंग दिख रहा है इसमें, तो
Uh,
बोले।
but like just few clarification on this. Like modes of nature doesn't actually make us robot because we also have a free will at our end. So even if we are influenced by modes of nature, then it's like we in one sense we understand how everything is governed by or everything is like they act as a dictator. But
हम्म।
what is the role of free will? There is actually deciding between the modes of nature.
यस यस।
Okay.
परफेक्ट। So mode of voices, mode of nature influence our choices. Influence. They have influence our choices, but they cannot make the choices in itself. They just influence the choices. They have a big factor, but actually it is not that key. They make us, like so many times. Some of us feel sleepy in the class now, suppose. But so it's an influence of mode of nature coming. But many of us can give good response. Oh, immediately go and get fresh up, or get stand up, or do something else. So we find that modes of they affect the choices. Like now, that's how I discuss now. I go to google.com and I type B. So I'm getting Bollywood and I'm getting all batsmen and I'm getting all those. So they are influencing my choices to click on Bollywood. But no, I can say no, I will write B for Bhagwan. I'll choose B for Bhagwan only. So their influence is there, but not that key they can force us to do something. Hmm? Okay, thank you. So we'll begin today. We'll go ahead with our this discussion. So in the 3.36, we discussed, Arjuna was asking, what is that which one makes a person to commit sinful activities as if by force? And in the verse number 37, Krishna says it is lust only, Arjuna, which is the greatest enemy of the living entity. And this lust, because of lust only, the person continues in this material world, birth after birth, birth after birth. So it is said, recently I was doing book distribution. So one day we were giving the cycle to the people, cycle, first cycle, second cycle. So was telling the ultimate, one devotee, uh, the devotee announced, the ultimate goal of life is not to attain this cycle as a gift. What he said, the ultimate goal of life is to stop the cycle of birth and death. So he said the ultimate goal is to stop the cycle of birth and death. So he said, so passion is there, but instead of degrading passion into ignorance, one should elevate the passion into goodness. An example is given of Lord Hanuman, how Hanuman used his anger for service of Lord, and using lust also for the service of God. Now coming to verse number 38, these are all very beautiful verses, 38, 39, and 40, and till 43. So let's try to complete the section today. Okay. So these are all, if you're, especially if you're a preacher, then the shlokas are very, very vital, because this is a very all important theme. And try to, although this will not come in your exam, but good shlokas to memorize and think about. Hmm? धूमेन व्रियते वह्निर् यथादर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भस् तथा तेनेदमावृतम्. This shloka was discussed, Prabhu, last time? Not discussed.
No, Prabhuji, not this.
Okay. So it is said, what are the outcomes of the lust? Hmm? And how lust has covered the living entity. Avritam. It is said here word avritam. Avritam means covering. How this lust covers the living entity in different bodies. So here it is said, dhumena vriyate vahanir. So there are 3 degrees of coverings of lust, which are being discussed here. Dhumena vriyate vahanir. So this is verse first covering. Hmm? Covering number 1. Just a second, Prabhu. 1 minute. So dhumena vriyate vahanir. Dhumena means smoke, and vahanir. Dhumena means smoke, and vahanir. Vahanir means fire. So as smoke covers fire. This is the first example given. Smoke covers fire. Yatha darsho malena cha. Yatha darsho, darsho. Darsho means mirror. आदर्शो में जिसमें दर्शन दिखता है उनका, उसको बोलते हैं दर्शो. So it is itha darsho malena cha. This is called as mirror covered by dust. Third, yatho albena vrito garbhas. Garbha means womb, and as a small child is covered by embryo, or the embryo is covered by the womb. Embryo covered by womb. So this is a third layer of covering of lust. Examples are given to understand how lust covers the living entity, and it makes person into repeated cycle of birth and death. Tatha tenedam avritam. Such are causes of lust. Okay, let's recite the shloka. धूमेनाव्रियते भैनिर् यथा दृशो मलेन च यथोल्बेन वृतो गर्भस् तथा तेनेदमृतम्. Yes, bro. Someone can read.
Translation: as fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust.
Yeah, so these are the different degrees of lust. So when lust increases, what all different things will manifest in a person. Now today we know, we are able to see there's so many different degrees of lust in even in the human beings only. Earlier it was like, okay, we know somebody is too attached to woman, then he becomes woman in the next life. The woman is too attached to man, then he becomes man in the next life. And then we know that how lust has a significant role in deciding our body. How much degree of lust is there, that determines which kind of body we are there. Somebody is very lusty, he gets a body of a dog or a pigeon or a monkey. So depending on the degrees of lust, a person gets different kind of body. That's why that's why it is said this lust is the greatest enemy of every living entity. So here the covering is given as fire covered by smoke. Now, when the fire is covered by smoke, what is the benefit? What is this compared with? Like when we hit a fire and there is a smoke, then the smoke covers up the fire and the fire does not burn. But if somebody is very intelligent, then what he will do? He will fan the smoke. He will remove the smoke. Then what will happen? The fire will get chance to light up again, and the fire will light up again, and it can actually remove the smoke also. Smoke is there because fire is not burning. The fire intensity has become reduced. But if the smoke is managed properly, then fire can burn very nicely. So this is compared with fire covered with smoke is compared with human body. ह्यूमन बॉडी का जो लस्ट है उसके लिए जो एनालॉजी आता है वो है फायर कवर्ड बाय स्मोक, दैट इज ह्यूमन बॉडी. सेकेंड, मिरर इज कवर्ड बाय डस्ट. सो इट इज लाइक मिरर जो है डस्ट से कवर हो गया है और बहुत सालों से कवर हो गया है, तो मिरर को ऐसा घिसना पड़ेगा, मतलब बहुत घिसना पड़ेगा मिरर को डस्ट के बाद में. इतना आसानी से नहीं होने वाला, गीला करना पड़ेगा, घिस घिस के निकालना पड़ेगा. सो इट इज सेड दिस इज कंपेयर्ड विथ एनिमल बॉडी, स्पेशली एनिमल बॉडी, बर्ड्स बॉडी, बीस्ट बॉडी, दिस इज कंपेयर्ड विथ. सो जब बहुत मेहनत लगता है, लस्ट ज्यादा मात्रा में हो गया है, तो दिस वन. एंड थर्ड, एम्ब्रियो कवर्ड बाय वूम. जब एम्ब्रियो वूम में कवर होता है, कुछ नहीं कर सकते आप, कुछ नहीं. चाइल्ड को बाहर निकालना यही सॉल्यूशन है. नहीं तो बेचारा तब तक वो, मतलब इस 9 महीना उसका जो पीरियड है तब तक उसको रहना ही पड़ेगा उसके अंदर. उसके बिना वो कुछ भी साफ सफाई नहीं हो सकती, कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता. तो he said this is the highest degree of lust. Some trees, कोई ट्री बनता है, ट्री बॉडी इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी लाइक अ हाईएस्ट एक्सप्रेशन ऑफ लस्ट. सो इट्स अ ट्री. So trees are generally, in general, helpless to do anything for their upliftment. But when the trees are being used in the service of Lord, or when we do Harinam Sankirtan, then trees are also getting benefit of getting out of covering of this womb of embryo. So he said, so trees are embryo covered with womb. Animal body is mirror covered by dust, and fire covered by smoke is the human body. So, okay, let's read the purport.
For there are 3 degrees of covering of living entity by which his pure consciousness is obscured. This covering is but lust under different manifestations, like smoke in the fire, dust on the mirror, and the womb above the embryo. When lust is compared to smoke, it is understood that the fire of the living sparks can be a little pursued. In other words, when the living entity exhibits his Krishna consciousness slightly, he may be likened to fire, like he may be likened to the fire covered by the smoke. Although fire is necessary, when there is smoke, there is no overt manifestation of the fire in early stage. This stage is like the beginning of Krishna consciousness. The dust on the mirror refers to a cleansing process of the mirror of the mind by so many spiritual methods. The best process is to chant the holy names of the Lord. The embryo covered by the womb is an analogy illustrating a helpless position, for the child in the womb is so helpless that he cannot even move. This stage of living condition can be compared to that of trees. The trees are also living entities, but they have been put in such a condition of life by such a great exhibition of lust that they are almost void of all consciousness. The covered mirror is compared to the birds and beasts, and the smoke covered fire is compared to the human being. In the form of human being, the living entity may revive a little Krishna consciousness, and if he further makes development, the fire of spiritual life can be kindled in the human form of life. By careful handling of the smoke in the fire, fire can be made to blaze. Therefore, the human form of life is a chance for living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. In the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy lust by cultivation of Krishna consciousness under able guidance. Prabhuji, you are mute.
Yeah, so this is a very beautiful purport. By careful handling of the smoke in the fire, fire can be made to blaze. Hmm? So if we carefully handle this lust, which is compared with the smoke, then the same fire of Krishna consciousness can blaze and one can go back home back to Godhead. So one should very carefully handle the smoke in the fire. And Prabhupada is writing. So some Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives us Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadava Agni Nirvapanam. So mirror. Sometimes our mind is compared with the mirror and cleansing process is given. Because today all of us are most of the living entities are like in the animal consciousness. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also we find that example is used. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. The mind is compared with the mirror. So by chanting, this all mirror gets very cleansed. And similarly, by chanting, the fire also gets the smoke goes away and the fire is awakened. The fire of Krishna consciousness come. So one has to carefully handle this. So one should know that this lust is not a problem for only one person. Sometimes a person feels, why I am so lusty, Prabhu? Why my material desires are so many in my body and so much in my mind? No, everyone is suffering from this difficulty. Everyone, we are not the only one. Here if you see, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is writing, lust is not just enemy for only some people, but it is enemy for all. And to explain this, so many examples are given, that animals and everyone. So it is said, when the lust is shallow, then it is possible to remember the spiritual goals. When the lust is very deep, it is not possible. When it is very deep, one becomes unconscious. That is like the womb. So entire universe is covered by lust and by the soul coverings which are there. So this is that purport. So we have to make our lust shallow and such a shallow that it just goes away. So okay, next one. Little more explanation about this concept only. The same concept. Very beautiful purport again. आवृतं ज्ञानमेतेन ज्ञानिनो नित्यवैरिणा कामरूपेण कौन्तेय दुष्पूरणेन नलेन च. Now, Srila Prabhupada, the Krishna says, so he explained different degrees of coverings of lust. Now, some characteristics of lust. What are the characteristics of lust? Why lust is bad? What happens if you try to fulfill the lust? Okay. Avritam jnanametena. Avritam. It will cover up your intelligence. Avritam jnanametena. It will cover up your intelligence. Even if somebody is very, very jnani, very intelligent, his intelligence will get covered. And nitya vairina. यही है जो बाहर इतने मिलियंस ऑफ लाइफ टाइम्स के लिए हमको फंसाया है. Because of this lust only, I am getting repeated bodies after bodies in this body, in that body, and current body, and the future body. Everything I'm going to get because of this Nitya Vairina. This one enemy is creating a big problem. Kama Rupena Kaunteya. He assumes the form of lust. This enemy assumes the form of lust. Dushpuranel Analena cha. He says it is never satisfied. It never gets satisfied. So some details about yes, bro. Question, please read.
Translation. Thus, the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. Perfect. It is said in the Manusmriti that lust cannot be satisfied by any amount of sense enjoyment, just as fire is never extinguished by a constant supply of fuel. In the material world, the center of all activities is sex, and thus this material world is called Maithun Aghar, or the shackles of sex life. In the ordinary prison house, criminals are kept within bars. Similarly, criminals who are disobedient to the laws of the Lord are shackled by sex life. Advancement of material civilization on the basis of sense gratification means increasing the duration of the material existence of the living entity. Therefore, this lust is the symbol of ignorance,
and by which the living entity is kept within the material world. While one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness, but actually, that so called feeling of happiness is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyer.
Oh, beautiful. Khatarak warning, hai, Prabhu. So clearly, this purport tells that because why we are continuing in this world, material world again and again. So he said, because of this one very number one enemy. And he said it is considered to be agar. Agar means what? Depot or prison. Karagar. बोलते हैं ना कारागार. कारागार, रोजगार, कारागार, आगार जो पकड़ के रखता है. रोजगार वो पकड़ के रखता है. कारागार जेल में पकड़ के रखता है. बस बस आगार बस को पकड़ के रखता है, जहाँ पे बस को स्टोर के रखता है. वैसे ही जो मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में पकड़ के रखने वाला जो फोर्स है उसको बोलते हैं माइथुन्य आगार. So he said, so this material world is compared to a prison house because in the ordinary prison house there are bars actually to keep. There are jail keepers and all. But he said this is such an amazing jail made by Lord Brahma that such an amazing jail made by Brahma ki nobody wants to go out of jail only. People only want to remain in the jail. So he said there are no bars only. There are no bars, there are no boundaries, there is no fencing. But he said criminals become so attracted to this jail that they don't want to give up this jail. So he said those people who are trying to advance their material civilization, they want to increase and enjoy better and better versions of sense gratification. That means they are increasing their duration for existence, material existence. So sometimes people feel very frustrated. Oh, why I'm not able to enjoy sense gratification the way others are enjoying? Why I'm not able to do this? So he said the goal of life becomes gratification. Then person is increasing his duration of material existence. So it is said lust is a symbol of ignorance. Now this is the very powerful statement. I remember this statement many times once, that it is not that there is no feeling of happiness in lust. Somebody engages in sex life, there is a feeling of happiness. There is a actual joy. It is not there is some feeling of, but said the same feeling is ultimate enemy of sense enjoyer. यही feeling मारता है. The same feeling is killing him again and again. So he said already so many lifetimes उसने continue किया है. So he said ये feeling ही है, ये बार बार continue कर रहा है. And why this feeling is given? So it is said this is because of Brahma's creation. It is Brahma who has kept some kind of pleasure coating on the different parts of the body, which gives sense gratification. And somebody tries to engage in sinful activities like that, then he continues the term of material world, because that is a task given to him to populate the material world, to let them continue and give them time for, give them scope for improvement and all this. This is the what Brahma's task is. So he said, but the same feeling which is expression of envy, which becomes lust, which becomes anger, which becomes greed. So he said, this is the number one enemy of living entity. So these are the characteristics of lust, that it is never satisfied and it burns like fire. No matter how much amount of fuel is put up on the fire, it will never get satisfied. So one has to carefully manage this enemy. Okay, just read one more and we'll take questions from 8 onwards. 8 p.m. to 8:15 is mainly meant for questions. So in case you get any questions, Prabhu, you can note it down so that we have questions ready at 8. Yeah. So he says, this verse explains that lust is indeed ignorance of Jiva. The phrase eternal enemy indicates that lust must by all means be killed. By all means, it is said lust means nip at the bud. Nip at the bud. Don't give it a chance. By this ignorance in the form of lust, so यहाँ पे ये लिखा है, जो श्लोक आता है ना, न जातु कामा कामान उपभोगेन सम्यति हविष कृष्ण वर्तमे अभूय एवा विवर्धते. As supplying butter to fire does not diminish the fire, similarly, the endeavor to stop lusty desires by enjoyment can never be successful. So, okay. Srila Prabhupada's purport we read, no? Yeah. There is no Srila Prabhupada's purport to this? Oh, we read. Yes, bro. 40th verse. Whose turn? Please read. Indriyani mano buddhir अस्याधिष्ठानमुच्यते एतैर्विमोहयति esha jnanamavritya dehinam. So if you see, all these shlokas are discussing about avrita, avrita, avrita. Means the 40 shloka discussed about avrita, 39 about avrita, and 38 also avrita. Avrita means covering, covering, covering. This is making a person covered up. Yes, bro.
The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. The enemy has
Yeah.
captured.
So here it is said, these are the three sitting places of lust. Enemy. So Srila Prabhupada is comparing this all lust as number one enemy. Enemy means terrorist. आतंकवादी होता है जो आतंक बचाता है हमारे हृदय के अंदर. तो बोले आतंकवादी क्या करता है, जैसे ताज होटल में जब अटैक हुआ था, टेररिस्ट अटैक, तो उन लोगों ने पहले से स्ट्रेटेजिक पोजीशन अक्वायर करके रखे थे कि कहाँ कहाँ छुप के बैठे थे वो. तो अगर कई बार पता नहीं चलता कि छुपे कहाँ पे है, तो बहुत डिफिकल्ट होता है कि वायरस कहाँ पे छुपा है या कहाँ से आ रहा है, रूट कॉज पता नहीं चलता है. तो कृष्णा ने मर्सीफुली बता दिया कि 3 जगह पर ये लस्ट एनिमी बैठता है. अगर आपको उसको अटैक करना है, क्योंकि अगर तभी अटैक कर पाएंगे जब पता होगा कि कहाँ पे बैठा है वो नंबर वन एनिमी हमारा. तो ये सेड कि 3 जगह पर बैठा है. तो आप लोग हमें कंफ्यूज हो रहा है कि कहाँ बैठा है, क्या परेशान क्यों कर रहा है मुझे. बोले नंबर वन एनिमी 3 जगह पर बैठा है, ये जान लो और इस पर अटैक करो. यस ब्रो. परपट.
The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all the activities of the senses, and thus, when we hear about sense objects, the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification, and as a result, the mind and the senses becomes the repositories of lust. Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate next door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with the matter, and thus with the mind and senses. The spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as true happiness. This false identification of the spirit soul is very nicely explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.84.13. Yasyatma buddhi kunapeti dhatuke swadhi kala tridishu bhauma ijadhi yattirtha buddhi salilen hakarhichit janeshu abhigneshu sa eva gokhara. A human being who identifies this body made of three elements with his self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsmen, who considers the land of birth worshipable, and who goes to the places of pilgrimage simply to take bath rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge there, is to be considered like an ass or a cow.
So ass or a cow. So why Srila Prabhupada quoted this verse? This verse, Esatma Buddhi, was quoted for certain reasons. If you see, this is talking about false identification of spirit soul and false identification of spirit soul. So this is some Prabhupada is giving the clue that what is causing the problem. He said this is the false identification. So here example is given of go and khara. Now you see go is good, na? Why cow is considered to be a bad animal? Go Krishna likes, Krishna is Gopal, and बोला है कि ऐसा व्यक्ति जो है गाय की तरह है. हम तो जनरली डिवोटी का गुणगान करते हैं, प्रभु ये डिवोटी देखो कितना अच्छा डिवोटी है, ये डिवोटी एकदम गाय की तरह है. तो देखो गाय का जो उदाहरण है वो अच्छे के लिए भी कर सकते हैं कि कितना स्वीट डिवोटी प्रभु, इनोसेंट डिवोटी, गाय की तरह डिवोटी, प्रभु लाइक डिवोटी प्रभु जी. बट यहाँ पे कृष्णा गाय का उपयोग कर रहे हैं गाली देने के लिए. ऐसा व्यक्ति गाय है गाय. तो गाय क्यों? तो गाय को स्पेशली हम जानते हैं कि गाय दूध जब देता नहीं है, कई बार दूध देता नहीं है, बछड़ा बड़ा हो गया है, तो गाय के बछड़े को लाया जाता है, सिर्फ दिखाया जाता है. एज सुन एज गाय का बछड़ा उसको दिखाया गया, वो तुरंत दूध देना चालू कर देता है. और या तो फिर अगर कभी बछड़ा मर भी गया है तो नकली बछड़े को लेके आओ, आर्टिफिशियल बछड़े को, उसका स्किन लेके आओ, वो स्किन लेके आओ, स्किन को देख के गाय जो है उसको उसका दूध देना चालू कर देता है. तो दैट मीन्स व्हाट, ये skin disease. That's why Prabhupada compares this to be a skin disease. All of us have got a skin disease. कि हम स्किन से अट्रैक्ट हो जाते हैं और फॉल्स आइडेंटिफिकेशन करने बैठते हैं. सेड द स्पिरिट सोल बिकम्स एडिक्टेड, एडिक्शन लग जाता है उसको मटेरियल सेंसेस का, addiction to enjoying the material senses, and person thinks that this is only happiness, this is an addiction. So now what is the science of lust? So he said the lust captures three positions. So he said number one, mind, second is senses, and third is intelligence. Mind, senses, and intelligence. So now, how the entire science works? Let's try to see something about this. How the science of lust works. Now we can discuss about the science very nicely, but immediately after the class, even I can say, nice prasadam comes for me, rasgulla comes, I'll forget the science, है ना? Because lust has captured, lust has captured the strategic positions. So we have to discuss on solution also. At least first step is knowledge. First step of overcoming ignorance is knowledge. Although we may be weak, we may be incompetent, but the knowledge will surely help. The first step. Now, how lust attacks? So it is said, lust has captured different strategic positions. So one strategic position which lust has captured is like lust has made an entire plan. And what lust is attacking? The lust is attacking the heart of a conditioned soul, or it is attacking the entire Christian. Lust is attacking. Mind, senses. Okay. So this is the way it attacks. So first of all, three strategic location it has occupied. Now, any sense gratification object now comes. So first sense, let's say a sense gratification object, a desire for sense object has come. So now the sense object appeals to senses. Now senses on its own, actually senses, they appeal to the senses. That okay, Baba. Now this senses, what the senses will do? The senses will pass a request. The senses will pass a request to mind. And mind itself has a lot of ideas about what to be done. So because it has mind has previous experiences. Oh, this rasgulla was very good last time. Oh, this cake was third class last time. So he said mind has all experience of previous. The mind is past a request. Then the mind actually is in itself is not a decision maker, but mind will pass a request to intelligence. Now, if intelligence is strong enough, then mind will say either, then even if mind will put a very strong proposal. And like a small child, Papa, Papa, I want rasgulla. Intelligence say, hey, this is not a good rasgulla. Don't at all eat rasgulla. This is all third class made with low quality of sugar, everything. And then intelligence will say no to the mind will say no to the senses. But what happens is sometimes because of repeated interaction with senses, the mind becomes a very strong person, very strong बन जाता है, एकदम हट्टा कट्टा बन जाता है. Intelligence, and another issue which is intelligence can be strengthened by, so there are different ways to strengthen intelligence. Intelligence becomes strengthened by discrimination, and discrimination comes by swadhyay. So we said somebody does swadhyay very nicely, then intelligence becomes very strong. And mind has a function of determination. Determination. And comes by determination comes by practice of austerities. So determination improves when somebody does austerities. And can be controlled by senses can be controlled by senses as a function of discipline. So discipline comes by regulation. So regulation. Oh, somebody's doing something. क्या हो गया प्रभु? So discipline by regulation and determination, austerity. So 3D formula you can remember. Discrimination by swadhyaya. But intelligence and is a next door neighbor of soul. Intelligence is a next door neighbor of soul. So now let's say sense gratification object comes. So first is if discipline. If you are to control the senses, let's focus on discipline, regulation. Okay. So Rasgulla, no problem. Only once in a week or once in a week, no problem. That is called as regulation. Then the senses become strong. And then there should be austerities, even if senses want. If it is an Ekadashi, no, determination. And third is then intelligence. So this is the entire science of attacking. Like he's the number one boss. Intelligence is the number one boss. He's a middle boss. He's a third boss. So now, if we understand that senses are very weak, they don't listen to the boss only. Then senses जो इतने नहीं मतलब senses are not at all obedient to the mind. Then what will happen? They don't consult to mind, they don't consult to intelligence, they directly engage. जैसे सेंसेस को भी मजबूत बनाना इंपॉर्टेंट है. सेंसेस धोखा दे सकते हैं, तो इसलिए सेंसेस को धोखा देने के लिए सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज क्या है कि ऐसे एनवायरनमेंट में नहीं रहना जहाँ पे सेंसेस जो है वो गलत कार्य करने में फोर्स हो जाएंगे. तो ऐसे सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट्स थोड़ा दूर ही रहना. अगर पता है सेंसेस कमजोर है, थोड़ा दूर रहने का. इम्यूनिटी कम है हमारा. वो लाइक दिस एंटायर साइंस ऑफ अलस्ट अटैक्स. सो ओके, लास्ट वन मोर विल टेक फॉर टुडे. 41. Yes, bro. Please, someone can read. तस्मात् त्वम् इन्द्रियाणि आदौ नियम्य भरतर्षभ पापमानां प्रजाह्येनं ज्ञानविज्ञाननाशनम्.
Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization.
Yeah, regulating the senses. Solutions are given now. How to deal with the lust. Read this. The first step.
There, as a first step, by controlling the senses, O best of the Bharat lineage, kill this demon which destroys knowledge and intelligence.
Okay.
Purport. The Lord advised Arjuna to regulate the senses from the very beginning so that he could curb the greatest sinful enemy, lust, which destroys the urge for self-realization and specific knowledge of the self. Jnana refers to knowledge of self as distinguished from non-self, or in other words, knowledge that the spirit soul is not the body. Vigyan refers to specific knowledge of the spirit soul's constitutional position and its relationship to the supreme soul. It is explained thus in Srimad Bhagavatam. Jnanam paramam guhyam me yad vijnana samavitam saharasyam tadangam cha grihana gaditam maya. The knowledge of the self and the supreme self is very confidential and mysterious, but such knowledge and specific realization can be understood if explained with their various aspects by Lord Himself. Bhagavad Gita gives us the general and specific knowledge of the self. The living entities are part and parcel of the Lord, and therefore they are simply meant to serve the Lord. This consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. So, from the very beginning of life, one has to learn this Krishna consciousness and thereby one may become fully Krishna conscious and act accordingly. Lust is the only perverted reflection of the love of God which is natural for living entity. But if one is educated in Krishna consciousness from the very beginning, that natural love of God cannot deteriorate into lust. When the love of God deteriorates into lust, it is very difficult to return to the normal condition. Nonetheless, Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even a late beginner can become a lover of God by following the regulative principles of devotional service. So, from any stage of life, or from the time of understanding its urgency, one can begin regulating the senses in Krishna consciousness, devotional service of the Lord, and turn the lust into love of Godhead, the highest perfectional stage of human life.
Amazing. So now we're coming to the solution part of this entire of dealing with the lust chapter right now, because we discussed the problem so nicely. So this is basically speaking about 3D formula for lust. 3D formula for the lust means that is develop discrimination, develop discipline, and determination. So here the mainly discussion is about regulation now, mainly the discipline. So entire journey begins with a discipline. Discipline. Again and again it is said, discipline your life. So I said the first step is regulation of the senses. Because senses want some sense gratification, and we cannot actually say no to the senses like that. Otherwise they will become great havoc. I said regulate. Like suppose I'm addicted to eating sweet every day, then okay, I can make okay once in a week or maybe twice in a week. Okay, I will just take every day also, no problem. First begin, okay, every day, but this much quantity only one piece. So he said, like remember, in the childhood, I had a lot of attraction for this chocolate, Gems chocolate. The small, nice, cute looking chocolates used to come, colorful chocolates. And we used to get attracted. Wow, one, two, three, four, five. And you want to eat only continuously, 10, 15 you want to eat. But no, parents will make sure. Okay, only three, only five pieces, only two, only one. And one now once in a week, and then stop. So he said the first is regulation. So regulated. Now here the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is giving some nice methods. We can read from Acharya of some example about. He will give a little Rasik commentary, but let's try to read. Yes, Ru, please read.
The rule is that by conquering the shelters of enemy, the enemy can be conquered. The shelters of lust are the senses, the mind, and intelligence, which are respectively increasingly difficult to conquer. The senses may be difficult to control, but they are easier to conquer than other items. Therefore, first the senses should be conquered. We should control the senses. Though the uncontrollable minds want to steal others' wives or properties, one should not engage the senses by carefully considering the situation of the functioning of the senses, such as ears, eyes, hands, or feet. Kill the ferocious lust. This means that by restricting the senses, after some time the mind will become freed of lust.
So I said first step is make sure that sense at least mind may say a lot of wrong things, intelligence may do hundreds of wrong things, but don't act. खत्म. कुछ भी हो जाए, माइंड कितना बोले, कितना प्रपोजल दे, इंटेलिजेंस कितना प्रपोजल दे. He said first let's deal with कुछ भी हो जाए. He said my senses I'm not going to act. Action में I may be ढोंगी number one. I may have a lot of materialistic desires to do wrong things with people, but I will not make my senses do wrong thing. So he said, on the gross level, first is kill the lust. First is very, very gross level, kill the lust. Don't do that. So he said, and it's first step comes is regulation. So previously stopping senses was not recommended. Since mind will stay on that, here Krishna is stating that senses should be controlled by proper engagement, but not stopped. तो यहाँ पे जो विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर थोड़ा क्लैरिफाई कर रहे हैं, पहले बोला था कि अगर आप निग्रहम किम करिष्यति, सेंसेस को स्टॉप करोगे तो भी कुछ फायदा नहीं होगा, क्योंकि माइंड जो है एंजॉयमेंट के पीछे भागेगा. यहाँ पे कृष्णा का जो मेन फोकस है, ऐसे नहीं कह रहे कि सेंस को कंट्रोल करो, कंट्रोल मतलब कुछ भी मत करो, नहीं, उसको एक अच्छा एंगेजमेंट दो। ही सेड माइंड एंड इंटेलिजेंस शुड बी कंट्रोल्ड बाय सुटेबल एंगेजमेंट। सो बेसिकली कृष्णा का मेन पर्पस वही है ना, त्याग सब कुछ छोड़ने के लिए नहीं बोल रहे, भगवान बोल रहे हैं कि उसको एंगेज करो। सो ही सेड माइंड, तो सबसे अच्छा जो एंगेजमेंट होता है माइंड और इंटेलिजेंस के लिए, वो है रीडिंग ऑफ द स्क्रिप्चर्स, स्पेशली बिकॉज दैट इज वन ऑफ द ड्यूटी ऑफ ब्रह्मचारी, दैट रीडिंग ऑफ द स्क्रिप्चर्स, एंड वन शुड लाउडली रीड स्क्रिप्चर्स। समटाइम्स व्हेन वी स्क्रिप्चर्स स्वाध्यायम अभ्यासनम चैवम वाङ्मयम तपो उच्यते। सो read the scriptures loudly, take Bhagavad Gita or take Srimad Bhagavatam, recite the shlokas loudly and read it even if you feel boring. So initially, when we start reading Srila Prabhupada books, it appears very boring. It appears I'm not getting the taste, Prabhu. How the taste will come? Taste will not come, Prabhu. Taste will never come like that. We have to take the book, we have to read it loudly, and spend some time together as an austerity. As an austerity, we have to spend time with Srila Prabhupada books, read it for a long, long time, at least start with 15 minutes, 20 minutes. The taste will not come like that. But after repeatedly doing this activity, then the taste will come. It is not that the first taste will come and then I will start reading Srila Prabhupada books. No. First, I have to spend time with the books forcefully. By discipline, I have to spend the time and read it loudly. Automatically, taste will come. So, I said mind and intelligence should be controlled by suitable engagement. Okay, more descriptions are given. So only last two shlokas are remaining now. So maybe we'll start with this tomorrow again, 42nd and 43rd. And the tomorrow we'll conclude the chapter of the feeling of lust. Oh, sorry, this Karma Yoga. And we'll give overview to 4.1. Okay, Prabhu. Any questions?
Prabhuji, I had one question. In the part we read that the trees as the is in the most ignorant form, but what about the trees like banyan tree which peoples worship and neem trees which are considered auspicious?
So they're auspicious, but that doesn't, they're auspicious, they're respectable. Like Tulsi plant is very respectable. Tulsi is a spiritual plant only, but it is not that Prabhu ki all banyan trees are like that. Because banyan trees and all these neem trees or any other kind of bubble trees, or I don't know what all trees are there, they facilitate spiritual connection. They facilitate, like their leaves are being offered to the Lord, or their, so it is not that they in itself, the tree in itself, like in that sense, cow is very special animal. So the another reason, sometimes it is said that certain trees and certain animals are considered to be auspicious because they facilitate humans Krishna consciousness very nicely. Like if cow is being killed, so they have to be tell, oh, this is a very special one. This is a spiritual tree. This is not a, this is a spiritual tree. This is a spiritual animal. Don't kill the spiritual animal. Why? Because cow facilitates your Krishna consciousness very nicely. If cow is not there, then milk is not there, ghee is not there, doodh is not there, and all the dharma becomes almost impossible. और वो बनियान ट्री, नाउ बनियान ट्री उन एनओडी में लिखा है, किसी को पता है क्या रीजन है बनियान ट्री के बारे में? मैं पढ़ा था, इतना याद नहीं आ रहा एग्जैक्ट व्हाई बनियान ट्री को स्पेशल बोला गया है, किसी को कुछ पता है क्या? एनीवन नोस द स्टोरी? मुझे भी इतना नहीं पता ब्रो इसके बारे में, आई थिंक सिर्फ एनओडी में पढ़ा था, कुछ तो बताया है। तो एक है कि वेदों में जो बोला गया वो मानना पड़ता है, ये है बनियान ट्री स्पेशल है तो है, लेकिन उसका एग्जैक्ट रीजन क्यों स्पेशल है, क्या फैसिलिटेट करता है वो, इतना नहीं पता है। बस शास्त्रों ने बताया है कि वो कुछ स्पेशल ट्रीज है, उसको प्रोटेक्ट करना है, बताया दिस आर ऑल स्पेशल ट्रीज। बट दैट इन इटसेल्फ, नाउ इफ से काउ इज अ वेरी स्पेशल एनिमल, बट काउ काउ मोड ऑफ इग्नोरेंस में है। अगर हमें हमारे जीवन का गोल काऊ बनना नहीं है, काऊ के बाद ह्यूमन बॉडी आता है, काऊ के बाद ह्यूमन बॉडी आता है। काऊ कृष्ण को प्रिय है, लेकिन इसका मतलब ऐसे नहीं कि सारे का हमें काऊ बन जाए। अभी स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड में काऊ बनना है बनो, लेकिन काऊ बॉडी जो है वो 84 लाख स्पीसीज में आती है, तो वो भी एक कवरिंग ऑफ लस्ट ही है। तो मे बी आई थिंक वी हैव टू डू, एक बार एनओडी खोल के एक बार देखना पड़ेगा, उसमें लिखा है सब कुछ, तुलसी प्लांट, काऊ और इसके बारे में। मैं भी कल शायद से, अगर आप एक बार रिसर्च करके देखें, कल बताएंगे डिवोटीज को तो अच्छा रहेगा। एक बार आप एनओडी में देखिए कि
Okay.
क्या लिखा है इसके बारे में। आई हैव टू आल्सो फाइंड आउट।
Okay.
प्रभु जी
Thank you.
ये जो, हाँ प्रभु जी अपन का और एस लिखा है, लेकिन प्रभु जी मैंने हिंदी श्रीमद् भागवतम पढ़ा था एक बार, उसमें गधा या बैल ऐसा लिखा था, तो काव को प्रभु जी ऐसे बैल क्यों ट्रांसलेट किया? हिंदी सुन।
हाँ क्या, मैं भी
हाँ
उनको
ब्रो जी वही समझा।
हाँ पता नहीं महाराज राधा गोविंद महाराज क्या बोलते हैं पटोला, राधा महाराज गोविंद महाराज तो बताते हैं क्या कहते हैं, गो मतलब गाय बोलते हैं, लेकिन ट्रांसलेशन वाले ने कुछ किया होगा प्रभु, पता नहीं, बैल।
ठीक है।
मैं भी उनको, वो डिवोटी गाय का इतना प्रेमी होगा कि उसको गाय बोलने में गाय बोलने में बुरा लग रहा होगा, तो उसने बैल लिख दिया होगा। गो प्रेमी। चलो आपको एक क्वेश्चन, थॉट फूड फॉर थॉट बताना है। जब हम गोबर कहते हैं, गोमूत्र या गोबर, वो केवल गाय का होता है या बैल का भी होता है?
तो है ब्रो जी गाय, स्पेकुलेशन है ब्रो जी, गाय का ही होता है लग रहा है।
ठीक है, तो अभी ये पता
ठीक है।
करके आना, हम किसका गोमूत्र ला रहे हैं, हम देख के लाते क्या गोमूत्र है, या हम गोबर के पकड़े गाय का वाला है ये बैल वाला है, वो तो पता नहीं। तो जरा पूछ के आना किसी को, आपके जो भी गाय जो भी आपके साथ में गाय वाला भक्त है उसको पूछे, मुझे भी पता ना, मुझे भी पता करना है, मैंने पूछा है बहुत बार, सबसे अलग अलग रिप्लाई आया है मुझे। ये मैंने भी सुना है कि ओनली काउ, काउ मीन्स काउ नॉट बैल, गो बैल नहीं बोला गया, ऐसे मैंने भी सुना है, लेकिन मुझे बहुत बुरा लगता है जब मैं ऐसा सुनता हूँ, तो मतलब बैल क्यों नहीं। तो इसलिए
प्रभु
इसलिए
जी,
मुझे पता कर, यस
शायद
प्रभु।
when it comes to cow dung, I guess both cow and bull are considered, मतलब
हम्म,
गांव में जितना होता है, but when it comes to गोमूत्र, I guess only cows are considered.
ठीक है, पता करके ऑफिशियल सोर्स से पता करके लाओ। ओके, सो आई जस्ट एंड विद दिस वन स्मॉल एग्जांपल, वन स्टोरी, इट्स इट ऑल टाइम वन स्टोरी आई टेल, दिस इज स्टोरी टू थिंक फॉरवर्ड, carry forward something to home. So once upon a time, oh 1 minute, my laptop getting discharged in, okay, my laptop, as soon as my laptop will get discharged in 1 minute, so then and anyway it will end. So, 1 minute. So once upon a time there was, just 1 minute. Once upon a time there was one king in the kingdom, and this king in the kingdom, he never wanted anyone to be poor in his kingdom. He never wanted anyone to be poor. So, but suddenly one day what happens? One very poor person comes to the kingdom. He had a very tattered clothes and very dirty dhoti, lungi, and looking like कुछ खाया नहीं है इसने. And then immediately thought, अरे ऐसा मेरे राज्य का, मेरे किंगडम का अपमान है ये, तो मेरे राज्य में कैसे कोई पुअर व्यक्ति आया? And then he said, he suddenly sent one person, and then he said, rather than giving money to this person, what we will do is we will give him some work. So he gave him entire चंदन का जंगल. He said कि चंदन का जंगल दिया, विचार करो. बोले ये भाई चंदन का जंगल है, इसको दिया तो प्रॉफिट कमाएगा, जीवन भर कमाएगा, अभी पैसा दूंगा तो सन ग्रेटिफिकेशन में वेस्ट कर देगा. तो इस व्यक्ति ने चंदन का जंगल मिला उसको, लेकिन इसको इसको पता नहीं होगा चंदन का जंगल क्या होता है, चंदन आने को टाइम लगता है ना, ऐसा नहीं कि चंदन ग्रो होता है उसके ट्रंक में आता है, टाइम लगता है चंदन आने में. उसको लगा नॉर्मल झाड़ है, उसने उसको काट काट के शेकोटी बनाया, खाना बनाया, गरम किया, बोले अच्छा जंगल मिला है, उस पर कुकिंग किया, चंदन के वुड पे कुकिंग किया, और चंदन के वुड का कोयला बनाया. उसने सोचा कि कोयला कोयला बनाऊंगा चंदन का वुड जला जला के, और उससे प्रॉफिट कमाऊंगा. तो उसने कुछ फ्यू हजार कुछ रुपए कमाए, और बाद में कुछ 2 साल में वापस आ गया. बोले अच्छा राजा अपना जंगल दिया, लेकिन जंगल तो मेरा पूरा जल गया अभी, और पूरा कोयला बन गया, और अभी अभी क्या नेक्स्ट? राजा शॉक हो गया, अरे बाय गॉड, चंदन दिया था, इतना बड़ा चंदन का जंगल दिया था जो उसके लाइफ टाइम्स तक काम आएगा उसको, तो अभी खत्म नहीं होगा, इसने इतनी जल्दी कैसे खत्म कर दिया इसको? देखा तो बोले उसने पूरा कोयला बना दिया चंदन का. दैट शोज व्हाट, दिस इज अ साइन ऑफ एन इग्नोरेंस. He has misused he doesn't know only what is the right use of the चंदन झाड़. चंदन झाड़ इतना करोड़पति लाखपति बन जाता हो, अरबपति बन जाता, वैसे ही ह्यूमन बॉडी जो है वो है चंदन के समान, लेकिन व्यक्ति उसका कोयला की तरह जलाने को यूज कर रहा है. सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन जो है कोयले के समान है, बस काला काला कोयले की तरह उसको यूज कर रहा है. उससे इट इज अ टोटल मिसयूज ऑफ दिस चंदन. हिज एंटायर लाइफ कैन बी चंदन भगवान को ऑफर करता, तो डायरेक्ट ही वुड हैव गॉन बैक होम, बैक टू गॉड इट. So we have to, our life is like a chandan, so let's use it, it's very very precious. Hmm. Okay, thank you so much Prabhus. So we'll stop here, tomorrow we'll conclude the chapter, and Hare Krishna.